In the last lesson, we talked about daily activities. Today, we're going to try to describe our day using those activities. Hello and welcome back to another lesson from Simple-ESL. Today we are going to build on what we practiced in the last lesson and start describing our day or your day. To do this we use the present simple tense. So we use the present simple to describe things that we do regularly. Let's go into that. It sounds complicated, but it's not. So the present simple. We make this by taking the base form of the verb. So the verb, that could be the activities and daily routines and things that we have been talking about in the previous lessons. So let's take a look. If you were to eat something, to eat becomes eat. So that is the base form of the verb to eat, which is eat. So in the last lesson, we talked about eating breakfast, eating lunch, and eating dinner. So we can use this in this description here. So the subject, I, you, we, they, and separate is he, she, it. We'll see why here. Here's the verb, eat. I eat. You eat. We eat. They eat. Lunch. So that's the description. That's the example we used in the last lesson or one of the previous lessons. I eat lunch. Part of your daily routine. We also have at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. That's the rest of the sentence. But let's look at the bottom row. He, she, it. When you have he, she, or it, we add an S to it. So it becomes he, she, it eats. Okay? So slightly different for he, she, and it eats. So if you practice saying that out loud, I eat lunch. Very good. So let's move on to some examples of present simple. So we have eat. To eat becomes eat. The examples we had from the routine would be lunch, dinner, breakfast. I eat lunch. I eat breakfast. I eat dinner. We could have the verb to start, which would become start. So the daily routine, we had work and school as part of the routine. I start work. I start school. And then you could use the examples we had in the time lesson. I start work at 9 a.m. You could also use get. So to get becomes get. You could say I get to work at 9 a.m. Here's an example of that. Here's the one that I like from work. So let's use work as another example. To leave. To go away from. That becomes leave. I leave work at 5 p.m. or in the afternoon. So you can see how we're now building the sentence using time, routine, and now the present simple. To work equals work. So where would this be an example? Well, in the lesson about jobs, we talked about working with things. So I work with animals. I work with children. This is a great example, and this is present simple again. The verb to work becomes work. I work with, and then the thing, children. If you were a teacher, you would work with children perhaps, or people. And to take, take. So there's another example of a present simple. So the verb becomes take. Now, when I showed that graphic, we had the rest of the sentence. So let's touch on that. Lunch at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. There are a lot of elements here that build up the rest of the sentence, but we've gone through these in the last lessons. You have the daily routine lesson where we talk about your routine. So lunch, dinner, brushing your teeth, shopping for groceries, walking the dogs. You can use that for that part of the sentence. 1 p.m. in the afternoon. That is two ways of telling time from the time lesson. So we have the actual time, 1 p.m., and then times of the day, the afternoon. These are available below the help sheets, so you can go back over these to help build up your sentence. So, times of the day, evening, afternoon, morning. These are times of the day. Telling the time, 1 p.m., 3 a.m., 5 o'clock. And in the daily routine lesson, with all the examples of things you could do in the routine. And this can build the rest of the sentence. So, I, then the verb, in this example, eat lunch at, and then the time, 1 p.m. And you could do the time of day, in the afternoon. This is a great example of how you would build a sentence, especially for something like an IELTS examination, where you're demonstrating your mastery of the language and speaking and describing your daily routine. An okay answer would say, I eat lunch. That's okay. I eat lunch at 1 p.m. That's a better answer. I eat lunch at 1 p.m. in the afternoon is a really good answer. It's solid and it shows understanding of the topic. Now, we touched on this. He, she, it. We add s, but not always. This has happened before. Some verbs you add es for he, she, and it. These include verbs that end in ch, sh, o, z, x, and s's, two s's. So let's have a little look. I eat lunch. She eats lunch. That one, just an s. But I finish work. What would we do with I finish work? So if it becomes he, well, it's not he finish work. It is he finishes work, and it's es, which is added to the end of the verb. He finishes work. So that's something to bear in mind when it's he, she, or it. It's not always just an s added to the verb. There are some, and these are some of the examples shown here: ch, sh, z, o, ss, and x. You would add es. So let's try and pull this all together, describing your day. Here's some good examples. He, and because it's he, we have to add an s. Wakes up at 7 a.m. Using the time of day, using the verb to describe the activity. He wakes up at 7 a.m. The family, they leave home at 9 a.m. So, we have the verb leaving. To leave becomes leave. They leave home at 9 a.m. You start work at 10 o'clock. So start is the verb, work is the activity, 10 o'clock is the time. You are the subject. You start work at 10 o'clock. My brother takes a shower in the evening. So we can see there that it's talking about someone else. It's a he. So falling into the he, she, it category. My brother takes, there's the verb with the S. A shower is the activity in the evening. And here's an example we spoke about earlier. I work with animals. And this was found back in the job lesson. I work with animals. And I've put that with I start work at 10 o'clock. Because if someone asks you about your job, you could say, I am a vet. I work with animals. I start work at 10 o'clock. You've already built a small description, not just a sentence, a description of that activity and a good chunk of your day. We're already building the basis of a good answer to the question, what do you do? So you can see how we can build these. So if you're unsure, go back and re-watch some of the lessons and bring in that information to this lesson. We're stacking, we're building. And with that in mind, describing your own day. In the last episode, I recommended listing your day's activities, just in order. I wake up. I wash my hair, or brush my hair. I wash my face. Now with this information, why don't you try describing your own day and use this lesson to add more information? I wash my face at 7 a.m. So we went from wash your face to the subject, I wash my face. I'm going to put in the description below some information that might help. So we've got the vocabulary help sheets from the previous lessons and this lesson. And if we go back in time through the lesson, this is how we're going to set this all up. Subject, verb, and then the rest of the sentence. So, using the information from the last lesson, start with your subject. It's going to be yourself, or your family, or your brother, or your sister. The verb for the activity. What are you doing? If you eat breakfast, if you go to work, if you start work. And then the rest of the sentence. The activity, the time, or the time of day, or all three. And this will build a very good sentence. So, as this all flashes behind me, I would recommend trying that out for yourselves and trying to build a good sentence. In the description below, vocabulary help sheets will help. If you need some more guidance or some more help, we also offer worksheets, which are available in the link below. These are available through our subscription. And we also have the availability of having the vocabulary help sheets early. So you can get these at the beginning of the week before we start the lessons. So you can practice in the build up to the lesson and get a little bit of a head start before the worksheets are released. So I'm going to go off and enjoy my day that I have described to you. Why don't you try describing your day? And most importantly, have a great day. And I will see you in the next lesson. Take care.